Hi, I'm Tony. Welcome to Sports Bike Shop's review of the Motoairbag MAB V4 airbag vest. The Motoairbag MAB V4 is an old school tethered airbag, but with a twist. You don't need to reach the end of your tether for it to protect you. Where normal tethered airbags have to reach full extension before they'll trigger, this one could deploy when you've moved just 3 centimeters out of your seat. It works in a similar way to a car seatbelt. If you pull the tether at normal speed, then it will go smoothly to its full extension of 54 centimeters. But if you pull it sharply, the fast lock system will kick in. And if there's enough force pulling on this now, then it'll deploy the 2 airbags in this vest. That makes it faster to react than a conventional tethered airbag. It also means the tether can be longer, so you're less likely to set it off by mistake if you get off the bike without detaching yourself. And it means you can stand up on the pegs on the bike without fear of triggering the airbag. I've worn one of these for around 2,000 miles, so if you stick with me, I'll run through the details and what I found when using this one out on the road. The MAB V4 has 2 airbags within the vest. The front bag has a 10-litre capacity and it covers the front of the chest and around the rib cage. A 15-litre bag on the back has extra sections that unfurl on deployment to support the neck and also cover the coccyx. Each of those 2 bags has its own trigger and its own gas canister, and both are connected to the fast lock deployment system. At the other end of the fast lock, you connect this carabiner style clip to your bike using a supplied strap that's got a D-ring on it. And then if your body moves quickly enough while you're riding, the fast lock locks to brass bearings pull clear of their housings, and this action releases plungers that puncture the gas canisters, firing gas into the airbags to inflate them around your upper body. Motoairbags say it takes a total of 80 milliseconds from the fast lock locking to having 25 litres of air wrapped around you. We set this airbag off in front of our cameras, and we had a special super slow-mo camera there that day as well that was capturing 1,000 frames per second. In that footage, it would take us 40 seconds to show just 1 second of real time, and we can fit from the moment the unit is fired through to full inflation into 5 seconds of playback. So that's about 1/8 of a second for the whole process on my maths. Over the years, I've had several airbags fired around me, thankfully always in demo situations, but nothing was quite like the experience with this one. This felt like being encased in rigid cushions of air. Take it from me though, it is really important to get sizing right and to wear this airbag properly. If it's too tight, it is a very unpleasant experience. Now, we'll get on to sizing info and fit advice a bit later on in the video. If we show you now the deployment footage in real time, you can see just how quickly it does go off, and it really does feel like an explosion of protection all around you when this fires. And when it comes to protection, I think it will be very difficult for anyone to argue with the protective properties of the MAB V4. It meets the highest level under both common safety standards currently in use. It passes the CE airbag standard, EN 16214, at the higher level 2 for both chest and back protection. That means it allows through less than 2.5 kilonewtons when laboratory tested in the same way that conventional impact armors tested. For context on that, a conventional passive back protector can let up to 9 kilonewtons through and get a level 2 pass. The area of coverage is also far greater than a regular back protector can give you, especially with this vest extending out to cover more of the back. This vest is a size medium, and when fully opened out, the airbag at the back spans 86 centimeters, and it'll also support your neck, which further reduces the chances of injury. As well as the CE approval, this passes the tests set by a French laboratory called CRIT, and it gets a 5-star rating in those tests as well. That test methodology is different to CE tests, and French airbag firms InnoMotion and Helite carry out CRIT approvals, as they say it's more realistic than CE. The fact that Motoairbag have both approvals, CRIT and CE, saves us as riders the headache of trying to decide for ourselves which of those tests is more realistic and appropriate. Okay, let's run through the vest itself. The outer is made from high tenacity polyester and is as robust as a regular bike jacket. Accordion stretch panels at the shoulders and the sides help accommodate the inflated airbags without affecting the fit when you're just wearing it normally. The sizes are grouped into 3, so there's small to medium, large to extra large, and double to triple XL. Expansion zips allow that double sizing. So as an example, this is a small when the panel is zipped up at the side, and it's a medium when that panel's undone. There are also adjustment belts on each side which allow you to tweak the fit to suit use over different thicknesses of jacket. There's a size chart on our listing, or you'll find one on Motoairbag's site, that shows the chest circumference range for each size. My advice is to be sure you follow this. Don't run the jacket too snug, and always make sure you've got the expansion zips undone if you're at the top end of each size's range. I had the jacket done up too snug for our first demo firing, and I thought I was going to suffocate when it went off. I had to unzip it to be able to breathe freely, and who knows if you'll be in a position to unzip this after a real accident. For the second attempt, I undid the expansion zips, and this time it was far, far better when it went off again. In terms of general practicalities, there's a pocket on the front of the vest which is big enough for my phone, my wallet and my earplug case. That's quite important as the vest blocks access to most of the pockets in your main jacket. When you put the vest on, you then fasten a belt across the stomach, which helps it stay together in the event of a deployment, and then you zip it up the front to fasten it. Then you get on the bike, clip the carabiner on the fast lock to the D-ring that's attached to your bike, and away you go. For connecting it to the bike, you've got options. When you buy the vest, you get a strap that wraps around your bike's seat, and then it fastens with a micrometric buckle like you get on some helmets. And then this has a D-ring on it as well that you place to the right-hand side of the seat, and then you clip the carabiner to that D-ring. There's another attachment option, which is to buy the frame strap. If you've got a suitable bolt under or around the back of the seat on your bike, you use this strap to secure in place through that, and then you'll have a D-ring to hook the carabiner to. One of those costs £8.60 as we record this. Motoairbags say you must have the D-ring on the strap mounted behind you, not in front of you. I don't say this just to make our lives more awkward, I promise. It's because the fast lock has been tuned to work best with the connection behind the rider. So if you suffer an impact from the front connection to the fast lock will release first, and the front airbag will fire slightly ahead of the rear bag. In a rear impact, it's the other way around. The rear airbag will fire slightly earlier than the front bag. The action of connecting the carabiner into the D-ring can be fiddly. You can make that connection process easier by buying an optional quick release kit, which costs about £30 as we record this. All of the 4 customers who've left a review for one of those quick release couplers say that has made their life easier in terms of the connection. Now, this is one of the key elements. What happens if you forget to disconnect yourself before you get off the bike? There's 54 centimetres of cord here to extend before it reaches its limit, and I've always noticed that cable before it's got to the limit. It kind of runs over my leg as I try to get off, and it is pretty obvious that that's there. Now, I can't tell you how many times I tried to get off my bike without disconnecting the carabiner first. Too many. But I can tell you how many times I triggered the airbag by doing this. None. I would always feel the cable around my right leg, and it would remind me that I needed to disconnect the airbag before getting off. And as for setting it off accidentally while riding along, I wore this on some horribly bumpy sections of road, and also while riding on the dirt, while both seated and standing. Never once did it feel like the airbag was going to go off from natural riding movements like that. Right, let's run through what happens afterwards if your airbag does go off. If the vest has either been impacted or damaged, then it needs to go back to Italy for Motoairbag to inspect it. Within 3 days of getting it, they'll quote you for any repairs required, and then they say it's up to 10-day turnaround once you've authorised those repairs. If it's an accidental deployment and you don't feel any repairs are required, then you can recharge the vest yourself. It takes 5 to 10 minutes, I'd say, to do that, and the cost as we record this for a recharge kit is just under 50 quid. That gives you 2 replacement gas cartridges and the tool you need to recharge the vest. We're planning to make a short video on how to recharge the vest, and we'll put a link to that in the description below when the video is ready. Right, it's time, I guess, for my personal assessment of the Motoairbag MAB V4. All of this has the caveat that I've not put this airbag to the ultimate test. However, wearing this feels very, very safe. I feel like a proper grown-up and responsible rider whenever I wear this vest. Only you will know whether being a grown-up is a good or a bad thing for you. Wearing it while riding isn't restrictive, and I like the fact that it goes over my bike kit rather than under it. That means there's no need for me to think about whether there's enough room inside my jacket for the airbag to inflate. Unlike electronic airbags, there's no need to worry about battery life, recharging, or whether the device is working properly in the first place. There was the odd occasion where I forgot to connect the airbag when I got on the bike, and I would have felt pretty damn stupid if I'd crashed with the airbag disconnected. But that one is on me, not Motoairbag, and it's just as possible to forget to turn on an electronic airbag as it is to forget to attach one of these to the bike. In my experience, the main drawback of this vest is the bulk. The MAB vest is effectively a sleeveless jacket in its own right, so if you put it over a jacket, it is like wearing two jackets at the same time. Motoairbag produce another version of the V4 which marries this vest to a removable underjacket with a mesh torso and then regular armoured sleeves. We aren't legally able to sell that as the combined jacket isn't CE approved. Motoairbag say they're hoping to find a way to get that approved, and we will stock it if they do that. My way around that was to wear a lightweight jacket under the vest to counteract the bulk. I went for the Knox Urbane Pro Mark III armoured shirt or Knox's Honister Mark III jacket. That gave me either double or AAA CE protection and a mesh torso section to reduce bulk there. If the weather was ropey, a waterproof overjacket between the underlayer and the airbag kept me dry. There are no electronics to worry about, so the V4 is fine in the rain. There's no issue with anything getting soaked and spoiled. Now, the one bit that I couldn't completely get around was the effect of riding in the heat in this airbag. The airbags within the vest are windproof. Hopefully that's obvious, and I did feel too hot on occasions. I'll admit that it felt like quite a relief on the times that I left the V4 at home and wore a mesh summer jacket just to keep cool. Although that bit is only relevant when it gets very hot. I wore this on a trip through Europe when temperatures got up into the high 20s. I did feel a bit on the warm side, but it was okay, it was acceptable. And that was for riding all day for 6 days, so a pretty tough test. In the UK, we've had some days that have got up into the 30s this summer, and that was when I took my chances and left the V4 at home to be able to run a little bit cooler. So, is a V4 the right choice for you? If you've got this far through the video, then I think you're probably pretty committed to the concept of airbag protection. Personally, I'm convinced that wearing this gives me more chance of getting away from an accident without a chest, a back or a neck injury, and you don't have to look too deeply into the stats to know that they are among the most vulnerable areas of the body and deserve protecting. Whatever airbag you go for, it will always bring some disruption and also some cost with it. With this one, the disruption is extra bulk, a cable to attach and detach before and after your rides, and also having another layer to carry around or wear when you're off the bike. If you go for an electronic airbag instead, and then you've got to stay on top of charging the batteries, updating the firmware through a phone app and things like that, and you might also have to pay an ongoing subscription for access to the service. The cost of this one works out quite favourably really if you look at things over the longer term. As we record this, an MAB V4 costs £559 and you buy it outright, so there's no ongoing subscription. The cost of a recharge is very competitive at 50 quid for 2 new cartridges, and you can also do that yourself at home. After 4 years of ownership, Motoairbag do suggest getting it serviced, and if you have 10 deployments without damaging the vest, then that also requires an inspection by Motoairbag. The fact the V4 is worn over kit rather than under it means it is more likely to suffer damage in an accident, so there could well be repair costs required there. It's probably also worth pointing out that this isn't designed for track use while we're on that. Having used this vest, I think there's something trustworthy about an old school analog trigger like this. You can see with your own eyes that it's connected and ready to protect you. There's no need to put your faith in some invisible electronic magic. If you start to depart your bike at a high enough rate of knots, then you know what's going to happen next. The fast lock device means you don't have the delay that's associated with a regular elasticated lanyard either. It also significantly reduces the chances, in my experience, of an accidental firing. Now this bit might be tempting fate, but I think if I was going to set this off by mistake, it would have happened by now. Overall, I think the Motoairbag MAB V4 offers a great middle ground between electronic airbags and more conventional tethered ones. The protection levels and coverage are seriously impressive, and the vest feels like a high quality product. If you want the top level of protection and you can accept the pitfalls I've covered here, then I think this is the airbag for you. I hope that tells you everything you wanted to know about the Motoairbag MAB V4 airbag, but if there is anything you'd like to ask or to add, then please pop a comment below. Thanks for watching.